G'day there everybody, and welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we've got a continuing level sequence with the foam roller, the log. So what you'll need to do is set up your space so you've got room to move. Make sure the pets and kids are maybe to one side so you don't smack them or hit them or knock them over, or they fall over on you halfway through. You set up your log, and now it can be any size log. It doesn't need to be this length for today's purposes. Set up your log at one end of your mat, and you're going to place your feet on top of the log and lay down at the other end. Okay, so what I want you to try to do is start off with the legs about a hand width apart, hands pressing down by your sides. You're going to push down with your arms. So you're trying to work with those arms, pressing them down. Then you're going to roll the hips up into the air to do a pelvic curl. Okay, so finding that articulation, that movement, that slow and gradual movement, working with the spine and the hips, and roll it back down. So straight away, you've got a little bit of extra work in the old hamstrings, okay, and coming up and coming back down. So you may have not moved around that much today. You may have sat down a lot, and this is a really nice way to reverse that movement. So you're rolling up, so you're opening out through the front of the hips, and you're also working the back of the hips and back down. We'll do 3 more. Coming up and back down. 2 more. Coming up and back down. Now we've got 1 to go, and rolling the hips up and roll it back down. Have the heels on the log. So now the toes are going to be pointing up towards the ceiling. I want you to squeeze your legs together this time. Keep them squeezing, and we do that same thing 3 times, okay? So rolling up. So that just changes the feedback for you. Roll it back down. Do you notice one side working harder than the other? Can you attend to that? Can you think about changing that as an idea? And down. Last time, coming up and down. Okay, now on the next 3, we're going to roll the log in 3 times. Okay, so 3 sets of 3. So when we roll it in, I want you to try and get the toes on, the heels up. It might not be achievable, but that's what you're going to try and do. Okay, so you're going to roll up, roll the log in, and back out. In and out. 1 more. In and out. Roll the hips back down. Adjust your position if you need to. Okay, we'll do that again. Roll it up. Roll in and out. In and out. 3. And roll it back down. How those hamstrings are going. This is strong. And coming up last time. And coming up. We do 3. 1, 2, and 3. And roll it back down. Good work. Now from there, stretch your legs out so they're resting on top of the log. Have the heels together, toes apart. Take the hands back behind the head, elbows up towards the ceiling. You're going to come up into a chest lift and going back down. Now if you feel or see your leg or log moving, I want you to not go that high. Okay, try and keep the log very still as you come up. So coming up, keeping that log very still, and back down. And coming up, and back down. And up, and down. 2 more, and up, and down. Last one, coming up, hold your position, turn and center, turn and center. We're going to climb the mountain, so 2 to the left, 2 and 2 to the other side, to the right. I started with my left, and 3 and 2 and 1 and then 3 and 2 and 1. Now 4 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and 4 the other way. 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 is the last number. 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 and 5 the other way. 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, and resting all the way down. Now this is where I'm going to get you to change where the log is. It's, instead of being underneath your feet, you're now going to hold your log. Now if you've got a very short log, you're going to find this very hard, but that's okay. It's okay to be hard. You're going to reach the hands up towards the ceiling, holding on to the ends of the log. With the longer logs, you've got a little bit more leeway. Okay, so clever you've got a longer log. All right, so from there, reaching the arms up towards the ceiling, holding the ends of the log, you're going to float the legs up and flex the feet. Now, without letting the log move, you're going to tip the legs over to one side, come back to the center, tip to the other side. Can you keep that log very, very ridiculously still? Ludicrous. Over and center and tip over. Can you keep it still? And center without falling. And tip over and center. It's harder than you think. And tip over and center. We'll do one more each way. Tip over and center. Last one. Tip over and center. Good work. Take the log between your legs. Now with this longer log, obviously there's a lot hanging out. That's okay. I just want the log to be between the lower part of my leg. Okay, between the space between the heels and the knees. Okay. With the longer logs, it's going to give you a really good reference point. So again, it's slightly advantageous to have a longer log, but you can still do this with a shorter log. Okay, so from here, coming up into that chest, if you can see where my head is positioned in relationship to the log, as we do our 100, we're going to try and keep that log as steady as we can. How are you going? Is it bouncing all over the place? With those shorter logs, it's going to be harder to reference, but I still want you to keep it steady. 2 more breaths. And resting all the way down. Good work. Okay, now what I want you to do is we're going to do our little clams, but we're going to use the log to lift this top leg up. It's kind of like having the clams a little bit higher. Changing the angle of the hip. So the clams, for me, are very interesting because it's all about hip movement, or hip joint movement. And every time you change the angle that the femur sits in the pelvis, it's a different experience, okay? So I'm going to use my hand to help keep that log steady, and you rotate as far as you can and back down, and rotate as far as you can and back down. Rotate and down and rotate and down, and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Now our second position, we're going to angle it back. I'm just going to have to steady that log again and rotate and rotate. You can use your feet to hold on to the log as well, squeezing with the feet, but still try and rotate as far as you can with this top leg. 4 and and 3 and 2 and 1. Now this is where it gets a bit curious. So you're going to bring that top foot down on the floor and hold that log, and it's just kind of propping up the top leg, okay? So it's forcing it into a higher position to start off with, and then you can rotate up from there and back down. Rotate and down. Rotate and down. 4, 3, and 2, and 1, and resting it down. Good stuff. All right, so from there, we're going to then pretzel stretch that leg. And then we have to do the other side. Okay, so I'm going to reverse my position so that I'm down this end now. Okay, and we're ready to go again. Okay, so we're just rotating as far as we can. I find my two sides behave a little bit different. So I feel I've got a little bit more range with this first one on this side. How about you? You got more range or less range on this side? 3 and 2 and 1, second position. And rotate. 2, yeah, I've still got more range. 4, 5. We do 5 more. And then 4, and then 3, and 2, and 1, and last one, and rotate. 2, 3, 4. Now I've got less range in this final position. I'm just curious. 2 and 1. I love things like that. How'd you go? Was it the same on two sides? Adding that log, just changing the angle, changes the experience. The next step would be then to remove the log entirely and just have that leg floating in the air, which you can certainly attempt. All right, so from there, we're going to do a little back extension to finish off there, and some support work, sorry. So you're going to be laying down on your bellies, arms stretched out nice and long, with the hands palm down towards the floor. Okay, so the first act is just simply to stretch out as far as you can possibly go, and then draw the shoulder blades down. Stretch out as far as you can possibly go, and then draw it back down. And out, and in, and out, and in, out, and in. 2 more. Last one. Good, now reach it out. Now draw the shoulder blades down and come up into a back extension. And come back down. And coming up into a back extension. And come back down. Notice how the log rolls towards you as you come up. And down. 2 more. And down. Last one. Coming up. And coming down. Good. Okay. Last things, okay, is some support work. So what I want you to do, now you know in yourself whether you're a little bit wristy or not. We're going to be asking you to have the hands on the log. Now if that's not comfortable for you, I want you to then go down onto your elbows, just underneath here. Okay, so if the wrists are not comfortable for you, go down into this shape here, and you'll be stepping out into your front support. Otherwise, coming up onto your hands adds a real destabilizing factor, okay, which is kind of cool to play with. Stepping out, and you're holding for 3 breaths. just like that. Go again. Step out. And back down. So if you're on your elbows, it will look like this, stepping out. Imagine you're reading a book, a really short book, that you have for 3 breaths, and back down. Okay, so that's what you look like there. Then the final thing is we're going to do a little bit of a knee stretch exercise. So this is curious. You're going to be kneeling on top of your log and hands on your mat. And what I want you to do is roll the log in and roll it back. Roll it in and back. In and back. 3 more. In and back. 2 and 1. And resting it there. There we have it. Our log homework for our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe. Or if you need longer workouts, head over to our website where we have new online exclusive workouts, and you can find links here-ish somewhere. And we hope to see you all again soon.